Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. It is time for part 2 of the Monday Q&A, but hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Alright, let's get right into these questions. What's wrong with having such a high fat intake since so many easy foods have it? I'm only going to address this from a performance and a body composition perspective, not a whole host of other ones. First of all, there's nothing wrong with having a substantial amount of fat in your diet. In fact, you need a certain amount. I've made plenty of recommendations on what your minimum should be, what sort of numbers you should shoot for. The problem with having too much fat in your diet is that beyond that threshold that you need for optimal hormone production, dietary fat becomes effectively just empty calories, and it isn't particularly anabolic when compared to something like carbohydrates. Furthermore, when you start getting into large caloric surpluses, dietary fat is simply stored as body fat slightly easier if in large amounts in your diet than carbs. Now, and furthermore, because dietary carbs are more anabolic to muscle tissue and less fattening to fat tissue calorie per calorie, we are dealing with the potential for less gains in performance, less gains in muscle mass, and more body fat gain on the same caloric surplus. Now, I'm not talking about huge differences again here, but it's just an issue of if you're really trying to optimize things, it's not the best approach. But it's not to say that you can't make good gains and maintain a good body composition doing this. It's just that it's not optimal. The same kind of goes, though, when we go back to cutting diets. You need a minimum amount of fat in your diet, but you have to remember, even though people who are pro-keto diet go on and on about the muscle-sparing benefits of ketones, and they are muscle-sparing, they are not as muscle-sparing or as anabolic as carbs are. So by replacing some of those calories with carbs, assuming you have the dietary fat to spare, you're going to hold on to muscle tissue and performance better when you're in a deficit. So that's what it comes down to. It's just a matter of optimizing things. But it's not to say that there's something necessarily wrong with dietary fat, so don't get me wrong there. All right, next question. High bar versus low bar for overall hypertrophy. And this is referring to squats for those who don't know. Now remember, this person said overall hypertrophy. They did not say what's going to give me the best quads, because a squat is almost effectively a full body movement. I'm going to say that for you personally, whichever one lets you move the most weight on your work sets is what's going to induce the most hypertrophy. And for most people, that's going to be the low bar, but not necessarily. So again, if you're shooting for overall hypertrophy and you're not specifically focused on just the quads, it's going to be whichever. Now, if it's just the quads, then probably the high bar, but you could just as easily go in and do front squats or hack squats to make that up. So it's a matter of what your program looks like and what you're trying to do. There isn't necessarily a right or a wrong way to go about that. All right, next question. Is a powerlifting routine optimal by only doing the 3 basic lifts, squat, bench, dead? Is it necessary to include accessory and explosive work such as chins and power cleans? I'm only going to address this from the perspective of the novice powerlifter, because advanced powerlifters, you're going to need a shitload of accessory work. But for someone who's just trying to branch into it, no, I don't think that that is the best way to go. Yes, I think 90% of your focus should be on the big 3 lifts. You need to drill those over and over and over until you master them. But I would say, assuming you don't care at all about aesthetics, you only care about your performance on the big 3, at a minimum, you're going to want to add some type of additional lat work, because that will translate into a better deadlift and a better bench press, particularly the bottom of the bench, which means some sort of heavy rowing or chin-ups or pull-ups. Some sort of pulling motion for the lats that gets you into scapular retraction at peak contraction of the movement. You're also going to want some sort of heavy core work, because I'm sorry guys, but that is the reality. While squats and things do strengthen your core, most people's core is the weak link in their squat and deadlift early on. And if you're not doing heavy core work, you're shortchanging yourself on your numbers. So you need to be doing some heavy work for your abs. And then on top of that, you're simply not getting enough tricep stimulation to optimize your bench. So I would like to see some sort of heavy tricep work, whether it's a skull crusher or something like that, or something that is even better carryover like a closed grip bench press. I think should be the minimum. So those three things would need to be added at the bare minimum for a minimalist starting powerlifting program. All right, next question. Does caffeine affect TDEE? And TDEE stands for total daily energy expenditure. Yes, caffeine is a stimulant. It absolutely affects TDEE. It's not a huge amount. We're just talking about a couple of percentages here. But yes, your metabolism and the calories that you burn daily will go up if you take in any substantial amount of caffeine, be it in pill form, coffee, or whatever. So yes, it does directly affect it, and yes, it therefore has some positive benefits for fat burning. All right, last question. How do people manage to squat then deadlift straight after on your program or other similar programs? If I try this, I lose about 15% off my deadlift working weight and feel gassed. It's because you're out of shape and you're not conditioned. If you start doing it regularly, you will suddenly find that you'll be able to set a squat PR or do heavy squats and all of a sudden start hitting new numbers on your deadlift after that you were not able to hit before. And it might take you a few weeks to get there, but that's how it's done. And actually at powerlifting meets, the deadlift is done last. So you have to do all of your squatting and your benching and set all your records or whatever you're going to do, all your lifts for the meet on those, and then you deadlift afterwards. And that's actually how it's done in powerlifting. So if someone wanted to say get into powerlifting, they better get used to deadlifting after they squat. But even for normal training, it's just a matter of conditioning and being adapted to it and being in good enough shape to do it. And if you can't do it, you're simply not accustomed or adapted to it yet. You just need to start practicing doing so, and you'll adapt and you'll be fine. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you next time.